into a submarine. Oh, I can't say submarine. I can't say it.
Sound, speeding, camera, rolling, scene 15. Take 303, Mark.
Welcome to Take 303, powered by Fort Wayne Media, the podcast with the guy who knows a lot about film.
And his friend.
I'm Nick Molinari.
I'm JP Brooks. Today we're talking film and television, and today we're talking about No Hard Feelings and Easy A.
All right, Gene Stupinski's No Hard Feelings stars Jennifer Lawrence, Andrew Barth Feldman, Matthew Broderick, and Scott MacArthur.
No Hard Feelings stars Jennifer Lawrence as Maddie, a 32-year-old woman who lives in Montauk who is an Uber driver.
Well, she just turned 30.
Yeah, she just turned 30. After her car gets taken in by the government because she has not paid her property taxes and becomes collateral, she must find a way to get a new car. She sees an ad on Craigslist which says, "If you date our son, we will give you a brand new car." Well, we'll give you a car. After she agrees to the parents to date the son in order to help him come out of his shell, the two form a relationship. And that's where the movie goes. It only took us four times because here's what I really want to tell you, everybody, okay?
She's from Montauk.
She's from Montauk, and she's from Long Island. Nick, have you ever been to Montauk?
I've not.
Okay, so just so you know, because I've actually I recognize some of the places there because I've been there a couple times. And Montauk is the last town on Long Island. It's the last neighborhood. And so Montauk says the end. That's what it's known for, Montauk.
And
end.
that's like before you hit the Hamptons kind of area? Or
No, Montauk is the end.
Oh, it's past the Hamptons.
It's the end.
I always thought the Hamptons was the end.
It's pretty deep, but Montauk is literally... I have a t-shirt when I was a kid that said Montauk, the end. You can't go any further. There's nothing else.
Now knowing that the theme of Montauk is the end, it feels like thematically that works in the story. From the beginning onwards, like, this is not your traditional rom-com. It's really funny, and I didn't expect it to be. I saw the trailer and, I was laughing, but I thought that was probably going to be like the best parts of the movie, and then it would just like fall flat. But I was pleasantly surprised with how much they kind of held back too. One scene in particular they definitely couldn't have had in the trailer. Yeah. But I was laughing the whole way through, and I can appreciate a comedy, especially when they do that, because that's your job. Like, the two hardest genres to work in are comedy and horror. If you make a comedy, if you don't hear laughs in the theater, it doesn't work. And if you made a horror film and you don't hear people screaming or jumping or any of that kind of stuff, it didn't work. So other movies can get a flash pass, like, Extraction 2. You don't need to be like, yeah, fuck yeah, the whole time through. You just watch it.
It was opening night. There were no lines.
We thought that we were going to be the only ones in the theater.
Yeah, so happy to see that some people were there. Obviously, some Jennifer Lawrence fans or people who maybe like this kind of movie.
I think judging from the audience reactions, they're definitely Jennifer Lawrence fans, because we were all taken aback at different parts where Jennifer Lawrence plays against her character type in Hollywood.
I definitely agree with you. It was funnier than I thought. Good writing. Maybe not good writing, but good performances. Maybe both. Maybe I can just say both. We talked about, what's his name? Scott? Is that his? I don't know. Who?
Scott's the actor name, yeah.
Scott's that guy. Well done, sir. I don't think I've seen you in anything before, but nice job.
Yeah, like best friends in a romantic comedy usually, take a side seat. They're there for a few laughs. This guy, I was waiting for him to come back every single time.
Yeah, he really set the... He kind of carries the beginning of the movie.
He was like just letting all the intrusive thoughts fly.
This movie reminds me a lot of The Way, Way Back. I don't know if you were thinking that, but
I did get those vibes of like a coming of age film, and from some of the writing and like the framing of things, and even having Matthew Broderick there, it feels somewhat like an 80s movie without being overtly 80s.
Yeah, and it feels that the movie is definitely tried to sell itself as a romantic comedy. I didn't see a lot of trailers, but just from the poster alone, it looks like it's a romantic comedy. In No Hard Feelings, that's like something people say in relationships, like a famous line. Mm-hmm. So that's like a breakup line or something you say for like disappointment. So it's fascinating because this movie, I think it's more of a coming of age movie than it is a rom-com at the end of the day. I don't think it's fair to call this movie a sex comedy. I think that is an injustice.
It was literally marketed as a sex comedy.
Listen, I marketed me as this very confident, outgoing, charismatic guy. That doesn't mean that's what I feel on the inside, okay?
So if it's not a sex comedy, what is it?
It's a coming-of-age comedy. That's what this movie is. It's a coming-of-age story. Look where these characters start. Look where they end. Yes, maybe they used the idea of sex because it never actually happens, right? It's hinted at.
Spoiler.
It's hinted at. It's talked about. And that might be what's going on. But what motivates and changes these characters is the relationship that they have with one another in a non-romantic way. It may feel romantic, might think it, but it's not actually, because one person can be invested romantically. If the other one's not, that is not a romantic relationship. It takes two to tango. My argument here is that these two people helped each other grow to become what they both needed to be. And they got there together, and it was messy, and it was not always perfect, and a lot of other things got intertwined and tangled. Because even if you take what happens with the kid, like them going into the bedroom, you could replace sex and put any other situation in. Let's say she was like his confidence coach or something, like a speech coach, and they've been writing for this fake speech that he's not actually going to give.
Like the King's Speech or
just
or
whatever.
do it like Hitch.
He's whatever. And he's supposed to go and do this speech thing. And then he goes, "Do you have anything to tell me?" And then finds out that this speech is that we're going to, everybody in there is lying and fake. She doesn't tell him. He goes and gives the speech, and it's disheartening because they both know. I think you could replace that with anything. It's just way more personal and way more sad and tragic that they use sex to do it. Because, friendship and sex is, when you intermingle that, it's trouble. So, yeah, it's not a sex comedy.
Yeah, I wouldn't even consider it a rom-com. I saw the trailer before I saw the poster. Mm-hmm. And having seen the poster, I do think that's marketing it improperly.
I don't know, what would you put on the poster? Because right now it's just Jennifer Lawrence and the guy, right?
Yeah, I would have done it maybe kind of like a Bad Teacher kind of poster, Bad Teacher with Cameron Diaz. It looks like she clearly has a hangover and she's behind her desk at a school and she's disheveled and everything. Yeah, I think something like that with her on top of the Buick kind of thing.
Or even him on the car, he's naked when that happens, so.
Yeah, I mean, he could have been on the car with his clothes on, and then she's driving and they're both screaming, doing the comedy, that kind of thing. Something zany.
Yeah, it has really good laughs along the way. You can tell by the opening scene that you're gonna laugh in this movie. Just early on, if they're really going for it, and it's not overt slapstick comedy. There is a little bit of that, but not super hardcore.
Raunchy dialogue, the improv going back and forth, but that's kind of today's humor, so it makes sense.
And there was some wit in there too. I just think, maybe smart writing.
So I think we both have the same favorite character, Scott's guy.
Yeah, I mean, obviously after him, who is it?
J-Law.
Yeah. What did you think of this, the co-lead?
He's very competent. I like that I think it wouldn't have worked with a named actor. I don't think they could have gotten someone like Tom Holland and have him do that role.
Yeah, Jennifer Lawrence is such a big presence on screen. You kind of have to get somebody who's
unknown.
I mean, they both end up sharing the end, but really it's more about her, I think. Because we're following from her perspective mainly.
It ends up in that situation of every kind of 80s and 90s movie where a character has to play a part in order to get another character for something that they want. And then halfway through the film they find out, they didn't like me for me. They wanted something else. And then they break up and then they have a montage of how they miss each other and they need each other and then they get back together and that kind of thing. So that's where it gets formulaic.
It does. But really the first half of the movie really feels just there's this woman who is trying to make ends meet.
I do appreciate how much character work they put in for her, though.
They put in character work for both of these characters. These are not... I think of Love Again. Like, remember when he says, I love basketball? I'm like, yo, you haven't talked about basketball for 50 minutes of this movie.
And then they just click like that.
Yeah. This one, not at all. Like, everything felt really natural to what I think the character would do. The only scene that I'm really confused on about this movie, and spoilers, is the whole dinner scene. That's where, like, I was a little like, I'm not sure what's going on here.
So I had the same feeling. It was the motivations that you're confused on, right?
A little bit of the motivations, but so I liked what they did with it because I definitely didn't see that coming. I don't know about you.
I saw it being a thing, just not the way it went down and how it was handled. Like in that scene, and I don't think it's spoiling anything, but we didn't understand if she is like being possessive of him or is like happy for him or wants him to do his thing or
is like
doesn't want
in
him.
love with him, or it's so hard to gauge what's the.
She gets mad and you're not even sure what she's mad for.
And I don't think she even knows what she's mad about, which I think is
problematic.
I'm okay with, like, I'm happy what they did with it. I'm confused by it, but I really like it, if that makes sense.
Okay.
I don't understand it. I didn't see it coming, but I liked where it went, not just for the sake of, wow, that was interesting. Because I even think when Jennifer Lawrence, that song really changed her, right? They made it very obvious that when he plays that. And you know what I think? Here's what I think. And I think it was one of the more, like, moving scenes for me, is that she realized, like, wow, this kid is grown. And she knows that she's played a part in that. And now she feels connected to him. But she also, like, maybe is living with the guilt of really how this all came about. And she knows ultimately she kind of has to let him go. So this connection, she feels she's hurt. And then this girl who shows up is a reminder to her that, like, yeah, he's going to leave. So I think it's just conflict in her. It's like, I wish it wasn't fake. I wish we could be friends. I wish we could hang out. But I know you have to leave, but I also know we can't also date too, because that would be a lie. So I think it's just a lot of, I see a lot of conflicted emotions there. And that's what I like about it, because I don't understand the motivation, because I don't think she understands the motivation. Because I don't know how else to write that. And I think what they did was great. I know that was long, but...
No, I mean, that's the exact reason we have this podcast, to talk about.
But I can go off on tangents. What do you get anything out of what I just said? Because I said a lot.
I did, and I think it plays off of what we said earlier, is that it isn't your general rom-com, that there's a lot of depth to Jennifer Lawrence's character as well as the other the guy role. The coming of age vibes we got wasn't particularly for even him. He's a 19-year-old that's going off to college. She's just turned 30 32 woman who also technically hasn't grown up.
It's a fascinating movie.
But the ending does definitely feel like just like a friendship kind of thing.
Yeah. I think it would be. I think he's like, when she asks, "Do you want to be my boyfriend?" She goes, "No." Like, we just got over that. I don't want to meet. Yeah. It's not because I don't think he's interested. It's just like, really? Like, now? No. So many expectations for movies have been just so bizarre. And I haven't even watched trailers, but it's like Jennifer Lawrence and a dude, rom-com. All right, here's what I'm going to get. And
if you're thinking Silver Linings Playbook, you're not.
This movie has a very somber tone. I'm laughing, but it's sad. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're laughing at, like, misfortune.
And I guess when I say somber, it's like nothing feels really fast-paced. Everything feels kind of mellow and slow. They let you sit in the awkwardness. They let you sit in the uncomfortability. Because
it's an awkward kind of setup also. Like, the fact that there's a Craigslist listing to date our son.
Yeah. But there's no, like, as crazy as it sounds, there's, like, no zaniness.
Yeah, it was more grounded.
Yeah, very grounded. Good. Is that the word? Good. It was a grounded movie, Nick. For sure.
No, as you're saying it, yeah, I could see how, like, if this was, like, a regular rom-com, I could see, like, her, like, trying to kiss him and, like, falling off a balcony or something like that or falling down a hill and, like, fixing herself up with some pop music in the background. It makes sense. I see what you're saying.
Am I a sucker for coming of age? Is that my genre?
I think he's finding it.
I'm sorry.
So standout scenes.
When she goes to the party, completely lost. Don't know where we are. Don't know why we're there. Just, I think that whole sequence of them going on the date to them going to the limo. I think that's the crux of the movie. Like, to me, that's the climax. That's the big moment.
I mean, ascending climax.
Ascending something. You literature people know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I'm going to be thinking a lot about this movie. More than I think probably other people will. I kind of want to watch it again. Is there something wrong with me?
This is 2 weeks in a row where I'm talking about Flash and this, and the expectations were all over the place. I didn't expect it. I expect to like it this much, and then at the same time, I still have no idea where I'm going to go with this rating.
Oh yeah, completely lost.
I'm stuck between two numbers, but I really don't know which one I'm going to go for.
I'm stuck between four numbers. It's not a 1. It could be anything after that. I don't know.
My favorite scene, obviously, the beach fight is hysterical. Yeah. And something that we have to do like a thing at the end of the year, like most surprising scenes of all time.
That's gotta be
that's holding down number 1 right now.
Yeah.
But I think another really funny, not funny scene, but a really interesting scene, was when they start actually communicating to each other, and the kid is like, yeah, his life isn't perfect, and he was staying inside because of bullying and stuff like that, and she was saying like, she stayed here and she didn't move to New York and do all the things that she wanted to do, and then starts talking about her father. I think that was probably like the emotional point, the most emotional scene that I liked.
So what are your problems with this movie?
I'm going to have to say maybe it's, I don't know if tone's the right word, but maybe pacing.
That's where I was actually going to go to.
I think the movie is doing a lot of different things and blending genres that it kind of loses itself, particularly at the dinner scene. I think it starts, like, I feel like it doesn't know what it wants to be. If there is like a fault in the movie, it's that it can't pick a genre and stay in that lane, or it can't move through the genres fluidly enough.
Well, I'll tell you this much. If you want a movie that's going to surprise you and you don't really know where it's going to go, this is the movie.
If you had to recommend somebody a movie, if they were a fan of No Hard Feelings, what would it be?
I'm not sure I've ever seen a movie. Have I seen a movie like this? I don't know if
I don't know every movie you've seen.
Yeah, well, that's true. I haven't seen a lot, so.
I got The Sitter with Jonah Hill.
Tell me about it while I look it up.
So it was kind of like a spin-off, not a spin-off, but a reimagining of Adventures in Babysitting. Jonah Hill plays a babysitter, if you could imagine that. Mm-hmm. And he's babysitting 3 kids, and his girlfriend
I remember the trailer for this.
Needs like...
Oh, because she wants drugs?
Yeah, something like that. Like a drug pickup?
Yeah. Agrees to babysit a neighbor's 3 freakish children, Slater and Rodrigo. Coerced to score some drugs from Marissa in exchange for sex. Noah must make the terrible trio along on a wild odyssey through New York.
So that's where I see this going, is because reading out that synopsis, it's a weird plot. It's a little crazy in different areas. You wouldn't see things like that meshed together. And I feel like that would be comparable.
I wonder how this movie's going to get reviewed.
Like, as soon as I walk out of the theater, I'm thinking about Letterboxd. I'm thinking, what number is it going to be? And I'm usually good at guessing the Letterboxd reviews.
All right. Well, I have it ready.
I'm going to put out a prediction.
Yeah.
It's like a 2.9.
Really?
That's what I'm thinking Letterboxd is going to do, and I don't think it will go higher than 3.2.
Okay, I like Rotten Tomatoes.
Mm-hmm.
So a 3.0 would be like a 60, because every point's 20. So you think it's going to be just below a 60, which a 2.9 technically for Rotten Tomatoes is bad.
I actually want to just give us a shout out, because we've been doing Alpine, Outside the Alpine. We haven't come up with a name for this just yet, but we've been interviewing moviegoers outside the Alpine as we see the movies, and our system of rating has gotten some praise that we do out of 5, no halves, and most people understand it and they love it. But I can't help but look at it, somehow other people rate movies and they rate them out of 10, or they rate them out of 100, I'm like, where are you getting these metrics from? And I feel like while we were talking about it, I feel in a lot of ways it was similar to Ted in comedy, but not in structure, where I feel like Ted has a better structure. So, final thoughts and ratings?
Man, I'm just so perplexed by this movie. Like, this one really got me. I was not planning on going to the movie theaters today to see Jennifer Lawrence and, like, genuinely be just confused.
And see that much of her.
There are sometimes we go to a movie and I'm like, okay, Nick got a lot out of this. I didn't. This is definitely like, did you see that? Like, I looked at him like, did you see this coming? Because I didn't.
People should definitely go see it. It is a hilarious movie. Very raunchy. A lot of surprises. So don't watch the trailer. It spoils a lot of different things. But yeah, it's such a hard pick because I was somewhere in between a 2 and a 3. And I think for the amount of laughs that I got out of it, I'm going to give it a 3.
Okay.
Now, JP, you've been kind of off the wall with your ratings lately, particularly at The Flash and Spider-Man and Transformers, really. 3 in a row, so I'm dying to know what you're going for.
I can tell you this. The only issue I have with this movie is sort of the pacing thing we talked about. Maybe felt a little long because it just has to... But I'm having a good time. I'm laughing. I'm genuinely interested where this is going to go. It's a character story, which clearly I've learned on this podcast. I care about characters and their arcs and their stories, not necessarily cool explosions and spider webs. So... That being said, this is my kind of movie. It's not perfect. It's a 4.
I could see how you get that.
Yeah. I really, at one point when I left, I think this movie's at 2. But it really was all over the place. But if a movie can surprise me, if a movie can do something different, because even if it does, I mean, everything always ends up falling to the same genre form. We took a weird way to get there, and we took turns to get us there that I did not expect. So definitely a 4.
And out of curiosity, you looked at Letterboxd. What is the current score?
Oh, no, I didn't.
You didn't? I thought you did.
So, let's take a look.
Drum roll.
Wait, where's Letterboxd? Okay, there it is. Letterboxd. I have to tell no hard feelings and leave a very interesting review. Okay, Nick, what was your prediction on 2.9?
I said it's going to be somewhere between a 2.9 and a 3.2. I'd lean 2.9, though.
It is a 3.3 right now. Right out of your range.
Wow, just right on the cusp.
Right, I give the rating I want, not the rating movies deserve.
I think that was very understood in many of our ratings,
Yeah.
particularly mine.
Yeah.
That we don't rate things for like artistic purposes. We rate them on how we feel and how we vibed with them.
And some movies, if I feel like there's... And I think this one, I gave it because I like the artistic... Because when you make a turn or a choice, it's an artistic choice, ultimately, at the end of the day. So, you call it whatever you want, but I'm pleasantly surprised. I hope this gets to a 3.5, and I'm going to help it by giving it a 4.
You should spike that with a 5.
I'm not going to spike it. That would be lying. I don't even know how you do... Okay.
And while Joe's inflating the numbers, we are going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we will be talking about Easy A.
In a world where Chris Hemsworth can't save everyone, you've seen him save a small boy, then save a family, then you've seen him save a mafia family. But in Extraction 5, everything takes a turn for the worse when someone from his past comes to haunt him. It's the Toretto family. They've got cars, he's got explosions, he can hide behind a ladder, they can drive through one. Watch Vin Diesel drive over Chris Hemsworth's leg, shatter it into a million pieces, and after 2 minutes of a doctor looking at him, he'll get right back up and fight back again. Some side character from another movie dying, coming back to life, dying again, reanimating themselves, and coming back. Coming this summer, here comes Nicolas Cage with a steel chair! The Fast, the Furious extraction of Transformers, Superman, Flashpoint, Revenge of the Fallen Sith. And this time, nobody's safe for the 10th time. Explosions, racing, 500 guns that can't hit anybody, one small rock to take them down, CGI cameos from E.T., WALL-E, and every other robot you've seen. Every awesome moment spoiled in the trailer, ruining every joke, every surprise guest, and every action sequence. We went and found the only man with a big enough family to direct this movie, Nick Cannon. Hold on to your seat, because we don't know where the fuck we're going either. Just like these movies, this trailer will never end.
This podcast is powered and sponsored by Four-Way Media. Four-Way Media takes everyday life and turns it into a cinematic experience. Whether you're a business who's looking to make an ad or maybe some social media reels, maybe you're having a wedding or a special event, Four-Way Media can capture all of that with their high level of cinematography, photography, and videography. Sign up today, find them on fortwaymedia.com, and book them before time runs out. I don't know why time would run out, but do it.
All right, and we're back, and we're talking 2010's Easy A, directed by Will Gluck, starring Emma Stone, Penn Badgley, Amanda Bynes, Thomas Hayden Church, Patricia Clarkson, Lisa Kudrow, Malcolm McDowell, Ali Mashaka, and Stanley Tucci.
Easy A follows Emma Stone's character Olive Pendergast, a self-proclaimed unknown, unspecial student who becomes famous, or infamous rather, in the school after a rumor spreads that she slept with a community college student. She is perceived as floozy, and now all the attention is on her. Sooner or later, guys begin approaching her, asking her to say that she slept with them in order to gain popularity and favor for all different kinds of reasons. She agrees, however, she cannot keep up the act for long, and that's where we're going to leave it.
I asked you to figure out the movie to pair No Hard Feelings with, and knowing nothing about No Hard Feelings, you just shouted out Easy A.
I think Krista actually is the one who suggested.
Oh, she was in the background and said Easy
Yeah.
A? Okay. Because while watching the two, I watched Easy A this morning on a rewatch. Yeah, I can see a lot of comparisons because looking back at Easy A, it is also another weird kind of movie.
Yeah, it's coming of age, not a rom-com.
Yeah. It uses the idea of sex as like a theme in the background, but it's mostly about coming of age. And I think it handled a lot really well. I think it was very quirky. I think it had a lot of Juno vibes in a sense. It was very fast paced. It never like let up. I do have some minor critiques of it. And I was wondering one thing in particular for you, because I know it's always like a thing that annoys you. How'd you feel about the narration?
I was okay with it. I didn't hate it, but I wasn't pleased by it.
At the start of it, I was like, oh, JP's going to hate these narrations. I know that, because so far, any movie that's been narrated or has a narrator, you're just like, fucking narrators. But this one, I feel like since it was so intertwined with the story, in terms of where it's heading and where that narration comes from, I think it gets a flash pass.
Yeah, I think that's how I feel ultimately. I almost didn't want to say that because I felt like cheating, but I guess the only place I was going to go is that because it kind of comes back to the end, you understand why it's being narrated, it kind of gets a pass, I think.
Yeah, and I feel like this movie oozes the vibes of 2010.
Yeah.
Like, we were in high school at the time, so we really understand a lot of what's going on socially, and we understand the fashion choices, and we understand the gritty webcams. We know the vibes of the vlogs.
Unfortunately, yeah, they depict so many things right.
And it's also another movie that evokes a love for the 80s.
Mm-hmm. The character loves the 80s, yeah.
But even the character, but also the style of the movie plays a lot like a coming-of-age film from the 80s, especially since they reference that they want to be a part of those coming-of-age movies like The Breakfast Club and 16 Candles.
Even though they try to say, yeah, like, it's so funny, it's trying to advertise itself as a love story, references these movies, the love parts, right? A guy being outside her window holding a boombox, it's that, but if you really look at those movies, a lot of them are coming of age.
Just like No Hard Feelings, Easy A is not a rom-com.
No. It's about a young girl in high school trying to navigate, all the things that come with being in high school. People worried about sex, people worried about their image, people worried about their sexual image.
Which is funny because looking back at it now, when the first rumor starts, I'm like, okay, like, that shouldn't be a big deal. But then I realize, oh, they're in high school, so, like, it's amplified.
Yeah.
What are some standout actors in this?
Well, okay, I'm just going to say, I don't know if I love the parents in this movie.
See, I love them, but I'm also casually annoyed by how liberal they are with their parenting.
See, you took it as liberal parenting. Why do you take it as liberal parenting?
So
I'm just curious.
I don't mean liberal in the sense of politics. I mean liberal in the sense of like it gave off the sense that they really didn't care and they put a lot of trust into the kid to do things on their own, and it felt like they weren't like guiding in a sense. It felt like they were guiding but not like controlling, which I feel like most parents are. Like, for example, their kid gets, sent to the principal's office. They're not fazed. They already know that she did nothing wrong, and they agree with her that whatever she did was probably right morally.
I just think they're giving her the benefit of the doubt, like a track record.
That's what I'm saying. Like, but I feel like the whole movie, they give her the benefit of the doubt, and they're like, they see a lot of warning signs about things that she like hints towards them, and they really don't pay it any mind. And then even when she has the heart to heart with the mom's like, whew, my high school days, like, psh.
Yeah, there's some of that there. I do.
Like in Mean Girls, like they're the cool mom and dad.
Yeah, but I don't see. It's funny because anytime the cool mom and dad is portrayed, it's always in a negative light because their parenting is awful. I think this is a cool mom and dad, and the parenting is decent because it seems like one, they're genuinely interested in their daughter and like her life. But she's at that age of being a teenager, so they don't want to pry too much. So it feels like a bad balance, but probably, yeah, if it was like actual parenting and done, they probably would have been like, hey, you can't be.
When I mentioned like the quirkiness of the characters, I feel like Olive in particular, and it's very self-aware, where either she says it or other characters say it, that she doesn't talk like a teenager, she talks like an adult. Because that's where the writing is from, and then a lot of the characters don't talk like how those kinds of characters should talk in real life, particularly with the parents. Like I was laughing hysterically when Stanley Tucci just looks at the adopted son and is like, what country are you from? Like, that's not at all what the parent in that situation would ask.
I wish they would. I mean, that was so funny.
I mean, my dad could have probably done that, but I'm saying, like, I feel like there's a level to which it is stylized where it is nowhere near realistic in that sense.
Yeah. Probably all true. Like, no parents are like, the parents are way too stressed out to constantly just stressed out to be like chilling, like, fun, laugh.
And then, like, if we talk about, like, Lisa Kudrow, the guidance counselor, and how fast she breaks, completely unrealistic. It was just to move the pacing along.
Yeah, it's another, I think, rom-com promoted but not really executed, because there is romance in it between her and the guy that she wants, which is Joe from I didn't even realize it until he was not in Blue, and then I was like, wait, it's the guy from You, and he looks like Superman. Why on earth are people discounting him as just the mascot? Like, yeah.
And then it dives down a rabbit hole of like, why does everybody in the school discount Emma Stone as like a regular girl?
I think Emma Stone has a weird face though.
The eyes?
The mouth.
The mouth. I've never heard that one before.
Is it the eyes? Is that what I have? Like, her face is interesting.
The eyes are big. I know that.
Hold on. Let me take a look here.
Take a gander.
Let me look at Emma Stone real quick.
The voice.
No, it's just her face, dude. She's got a big forehead. Like, I'm not trying to insult Emma Stone here. It's just,
if Emma Stone is watching the pod,
yeah,
it was all him.
I think Emma Stone has a strange face in the way I have a strange sense of dark humor, and oftentimes will say things that I can't say on the podcast because it gets edited out.
So I just find it interesting that like Emma Stone and Penn Badgley are just playing like the regular types.
Well, you find them incredibly, like, you think they're way too attractive to be in high school?
Yeah. Like, to not be, like, part of the popular group.
I think they're both very plain looking. Joe from You, I think he actually looks like a regular dude.
He kept looking like Superman in this movie. At least to me. I thought he...
I think you and I have both different tastes in men and women. Okay? Like, you think I think he's weird looking. Like, listen, I'm no like, Like, look at me. All right, I'm no person to talk about who looks weird. I just think Joe looks weird.
Neither of us.
Yeah, I mean...
Think he looks better with the... Does he look better with the beard or not?
No, he's just got a long face. It's like Emma Stone. That's look how long that face is. Look at it. It's a long face.
He needs the beard. That's why.
Maybe I just like small faces.
On men?
On everybody. I think it's just the thing.
I think like they needed to do something in term. I felt like that annoyed me that like she wasn't dressed like Anne Hathaway in the beginning of like Princess Diaries.
Another movie I've never seen. What do you like about this movie, Nick?
I like how tongue-in-cheek it was. I thought it felt more of like a spoof of the movies that it was trying to do. And I do like its originality in the plot. I think it was funny how they used that kind of storyline to tell a coming-of-age story. And I knew right away that it wasn't a rom-com. And it's funny how we were struggling to find a movie that we could relate to No Hard Feelings. And if anything, I think it would be this, except a PG-13 version.
Yeah. Definitely PG-13 version. Yeah.
But I think it just has a lot of likability. The characters are very likable. Even the ones that are like doing her wrong, like Amanda Bynes' character. And to see how Amanda Bynes just like spiral. Like, I just Googled her this morning to see like, is she okay? And apparently she her stay in rehab got extended again. She's put on a psychiatric hold. The best parts about this movie is that the stakes were always raised and they felt fair and justifiable. Like, it didn't go crazy, it didn't go off the edge, where I feel like No Hard Feelings did. I feel like this went in a very linear fashion, but at the same time was still able to surprise us in where we went. Because if you went into Easy A without knowing the plot line to it, it can take you by surprise in where it's headed. You think you know where it's going, and then it keeps doubling down. And even the layer of the rumors. Like, I've seen this movie before. I probably haven't seen it in a few years. I mean, it's always on like TBS or something like that, like on a Saturday afternoon. Having not seen it for a while, I wasn't with every single step. Like, I didn't know when it was going to happen or what was going to happen in particular. I even forgot about like, you know, who the 22-year-old is with. And it's still, you know, engaged me. Like, I didn't know, I couldn't guess what was going to happen next. And I think I liked that part of it.
One of the things I liked or enjoyed it a lot about is that, yeah, it's genuinely funny. You know, how often rom-coms are like, you just feel the rise, like, good, if we do this, they're gonna laugh. And the movie doesn't feel like that. It's funny, it's good. Performances are very good, I think. I think a standout for me, Amanda Bynes is really good in this movie. You're right. I also like her friend a lot.
Ali Mashaka?
Yeah. I think like she played her role like to the T. And normally, like, if in a movie like this, like choosing a guy over your friend and stuff like that, like the friends always end up getting hurt. They just kind of fought really early on. I kind of like that.
One of my gripes, I think, with this is that I think in certain areas it played it very safe. I think maybe it was the PG-13 aspect to it. But I found myself laughing out loud more at No Hard Feelings than I did at Easy A. I just found things like amusing, and maybe once in a while it's like, huh, and then like that's it. But like I didn't find myself laughing hysterically.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. I think I'd seen parts of Easy A. I never actually saw it in its entirety, so it was nice to see it all at once.
Did you know the plot line before the rewatch?
A lot of things, yeah. I knew. There's a lot of movies, I think, where I pick up pieces along the way. I forget what movie it was. I never saw it from start to end. By the way, iRobot is free on YouTube. I don't know if I said this in the last recording. iRobot is free on YouTube right now. Go watch it. I don't really have anything too negative to say about this movie.
It is an ensemble cast. Is there anybody in the cast you feel is lacking?
Maybe Lisa Kudrow? Is that wrong to say?
Just defend.
I just don't care.
Maybe I'm guessing because her character is so unrealistic.
Yeah.
In their motivations, not in their motivations, more so in their reactions, that you don't really feel for her.
Yeah. Maybe when we try to have some sort of character in the in Amanda Bynes' boyfriend. That's probably where I'm like, okay, let's stop here. We're good.
But I do like the depth they gave to her relationship, Emma Stone with Amanda Bynes.
Yeah, that was also really good. Yeah, this movie does some interesting things. Like the friends fight early. She sort of makes a new friend, but then they kind of have to split up because of whatever. And then the typical bully character, kind of gets involved in the plot. So that's pretty interesting.
It was very much. It felt like a situational comedy in a sense. Where the same way like in a sitcom where one thing affects the other thing and then the characters have to like adapt to that, it felt like that for like it was a very brisk 90 minutes kind of movie.
Yeah, this is and when you talk about stakes, it just feels like things are spiraling out of control, and that's what I like about like movies about lies. What's really good about it is that's like the genuine, things always just spiral out of control whether you want it to or not. And it feels very, I think we've all lied as teenagers to seem cool in some way, even though in this case it's not really Emma Stone's fault necessarily.
That's another thing is that she didn't intentionally.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people make like a choice and take a leap of faith and do something that spirals out of control. She said something kind of indirectly. I mean, directly to a friend, but then it got overheard and it got twisted and turned, and she didn't deny it. And
She
then
rolls with it.
Yeah, she rolls with it, and then it spirals out of control. So I think I like the idea that she didn't intentionally put it out there. She let it go, but now it went too far, and now she has to keep up with these lies.
Yeah, and rather than fight against it, seizes the opportunity.
Also, at the same time, there's a lot of empowerment in the movie. The film is loosely based on the Scarlet Letter and makes a lot of references to that and the movies that it was adapted into. But a lot of the decisions she makes that causes her lies to get bigger and spiral is for her wanting to help people, not necessarily to make her look cool, which I feel like it definitely makes her redeemable and makes her a more likable character, that she's always trying to help someone. So she tells a lie and then the lie spirals out. And then she has to tell another lie to help someone else. So it's never... I don't think she...
Like, I'm never rooting against her, are you?
No.
Yeah.
No, you're always on her side. You always understand where she's coming from. And she's very likable in that sense.
Okay.
I think we're good for final thoughts and ratings.
Final thoughts and ratings. I'll go first. Easy A is another movie that maybe when you look at the cover, you think it's one thing, and then it's definitely not. I actually... I think this is a decent... Like, I actually would encourage people, like younger kids, to watch this movie a little bit. High schoolers in particular. I think it's a good movie to watch. I think it's a go-to for a lot of people, I want to say. Maybe, I feel like amongst my friends, for whatever reason, I associate this with one of my friends in particular and kind of our group. Yeah, so this is another one where I don't really know where to rank it. So I think, sort of what you said, I think you've already hinted at, like, it just feels basic because it doesn't hide itself well. Like, you realize really quickly this is not a rom-com. It's a coming of age where I feel like No Hard Feelings did a better job of hiding it, and you kind of figure it out as you go. This one just feels like a very standard 2010s comedy. Doesn't wow me, doesn't shock me, and if this really contradicts anything I said before, oh well. But part of me wants to give it a 4, part of me wants to give it a 3. I don't want to give 2 4s in a row, but that really shouldn't matter. If I think it's a 4, it's a 4. So, Nick, what do I do here? 4 for Amanda Bynes. I think, there's enough turns in here that it doesn't surprise, I guess, so annoying. Some things surprise me, some things don't. I do like where they decide to go with some of the story elements. So I'm going to give it a 4. I don't care if it's 2 4s in a row. That's fine.
I think that's fair.
Okay.
And, I mean, I think we were struggling around the same numbers because... my review is very similar to yours, just different rating.
Yeah.
I feel it's a very average movie. I feel like it doesn't do anything special, but it's still it plays the hits really nicely. And I think it's if I had to say it was anything, I think it's like a comfort film, like a guilty pleasure, like you could put it on. It's not Oscar worthy, it's not bad. It's just good. It's like something you just watch on like a Saturday afternoon kind of thing. And I think it does kind of still hold its own with other coming of age movies. I think it's very self-aware. It's very smart in that sense. I think you can get a lot of enjoyment out of it. It's very amusing. But I'm stuck between a 3 and a 4.
Welcome to my world.
And I think I'm going to have to quote you and say that it's a high 3.
But it's a
But
3.
it's a 3. It's a 3. I'm going to say it's a 3 because I think it's just average. I feel like if you had to compare this, like, it's not a rom-com. But if you had to compare it to a rom-com and compare it to something like Crazy Stupid Love, it's 100% a 3. Like, Crazy Stupid Love is a 5, and this would be a 3. But if you had to compare it to coming-of-age movies, I feel like Breakfast Club is a 5, Ferris Bueller is a 5, and this is kind of like evoking those vibes, not quite doing it on its own. So I'm going to say that's why it's at a 3.
You just convinced it's a 3. You're right.
No, you can't go back.
I can't go back?
You can't go back.
Dang, because I think you're right. I hate going first. All right, I'll stick with my 4. I'm going to stay with it, but I think you're right. Yeah, because now that I'm thinking of like coming of age, way back, Ferris Bueller, all the ones, Breakfast Club.
Super bad.
Might be a 4 for me, but we'll talk about that another day. Then it's like No Hard Feelings, I think, sets the bar for 4, and I don't think Easy A reaches it. Yeah, because I'd much rather watch No Hard Feelings again. Maybe it's recency bias. Easy A is not real. It's hyper
realistic.
Hyper realistic.
Like how Juno's not real or Napoleon Dynamite's not real.
And I don't like that. I don't like that. So I'd like to change it to a 3. I think you're right.
All right, I'll grant you that option.
Don't ever let me do this again. It's like a low 4, high 3. This has been an episode of Take 303. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Make sure to follow us on Spotify or wherever you listen to this podcast, and check out our Instagram, FortWay_media. This month of June has been crazy with movies. Lots of movies coming out. So that's why this week's poll question is, in the past month, what has been your favorite summer blockbuster to come out? We're going to have probably about 7 options on there, so choose from them. We're going to choose the most popular ones, obviously, that come out this month. We'd love to hear which one is yours. And this week's question of the week is, which movie surprised you? What is one of your favorite movies that surprised you? Maybe had a genre blend? Thanks, have a good one.